Hi and welcome to this video. We're going to, in this video, cover how you build the perfect refurbishment team and how you then track them to ensure performance. So let's get stuck into that. Now, earlier on in the modules, we covered expert team creator. So you should know how to build an expert team and get an expert team around you. And this is all part of that expert team creator piece. Okay, so we'll just continue on that thread, and I'm going to assume you've watched that previous video. So if you haven't or you don't remember it, go back and watch that again in the earlier modules, and then watch this to layer it on top. So we learn during Expert Team Creator what the key questions are that we need to ask of a new Power Team member, someone we're going to bring into our expert team and somebody that we're going to work with. So I'm going to briefly just go back through those 9 questions, but do it specifically with a contractor in mind so you get the point of reference, okay? Remember, if somebody doesn't meet all of these 9 rules, you reject them. This is a deselection process, not a selection process. You want to only ever work with the best. This might mean you rejecting a load of contractors over time, but it will save you a fortune in the long run in money. It will save you a stack of time in the long run with lack of hassle because you've got the right tradespeople doing great jobs at great prices. Okay, so the first thing is, are they in property themselves? Because this ensures they understand thoroughly what's needed. Now, with a contractor, they may not be a property investor themselves, but they need to be somebody that is spending at least 50% of their time on buy-to-let. So for example, I have a brilliant electrician, Lee, who looks after my home electrics. But Lee would not be the person I would choose to look after my investment properties. Why is that? Because Lee is specialized at looking after more expensive properties and the electrics around those. He's going to overcook it for my buy-to-lets, where we could put a piece of trunking in the corner or along the bottom. In my own house, I wouldn't want that. In the buy-to-let, that might be absolutely fine. But Lee would never do that. So I'm going to end up overpaying for my electrician if I use the same one. So are they in the property themselves, and they should be spending at least 50% of their time working on investment properties. If they're not the right contractor for you. Secondly, can they provide you with testimonials from happy customers? And I don't mean their 2 best friends' phone numbers, but can you touch me base with 3 or 4 investors that you work for who've got 5+ properties that are delighted with what you do? You know, go speak to those people. If they're delighted with what they do and they've got 5+ properties, that doesn't mean that you definitely want to use them. This is one of the questions, remember. But it does put them on good footing. It does give you a good start. If they can't introduce you to people like that, then be warned. Be careful, okay? Can you see their accounts, their books, okay? Will they let you see what they made last year? Will they let you see what they made the year before? Now, contractors with this can get a bit angsty. They maybe don't like this. The way I explain it to them, I say, look, I want to work with you for the next 15, 20 years. I'm looking to build a long-term relationship. I need to know you're going to be in business for the next 15 or 20 years to do that. Now, you can't make me a guarantee, but I want to know you're profitable. So I'm not asking to see your books because I want to make sure you're not overcharging. I'm not going to say, hey, you made 80,000 last year. That's too much. I'm not going to use you. I'm asking to see your books because I want to see that you're profitable and that you make good money. Now, it's also an integrity check because often they'll turn around and say, we do it all cash. You don't want to be working with someone who does it all cash. So it's not on my books. If they do it all cash and it's not on their books, yeah, that's their level of integrity. They don't pay tax. What else don't they do? When there's a problem, do they come back or not? When you've got an issue, can you resolve it with them? Do you have the same morals, the same moral compass or not? Okay, so ask to see their books, their accounts, what they made. Okay, is their experience in the same area you want to invest? So if you're doing HMOs, house of multiple occupation, you want them to be spending 50% of their time on other people's HMOs. Because a different, again, go back to that electrician, a different electrician situation on HMOs than on family lets, and different planning, different ideas of kit out, etc. So you want, if you're doing service accommodation, you want them to be specialists at service accommodation. If you're doing family let, you want them to be specialists at that. Do they work to a set of rules? Do they have the same moral compass as you, set of rules, and do those tie in with yours? Okay, included within that, I've got it covered later on, but do they put everything in writing? I hate it when people send you, there's 2,500 of work needed, and it's a 3-line text. And then in 3 weeks' time, when you've signed them off to do the work, and you're upset because you don't feel they've done what they said they would do, and they're upset because they feel they've done everything and you're not paying them and you're kicking them a fuss, surprise, surprise. Surprise, surprise, because your agreement was 3 lines long. It's got to be in writing. It's got to be a written quote in detail so that you and they know exactly what is getting done. Exactly. Okay? Do they want to educate with you? Okay? You want them to be actively learning, involved with property groups, because they'll introduce you to like-minded people. Okay? A brilliant contractor is great for introducing you to other contractors, by the way. More on that shortly, but they're just brilliant. You know, they work in teams often. The plumber will need the electrician in and need the plasterer in, and they'll have a team that works really well together. So once you've met kind of 4 or 5 of these people, if they're brilliant people, actively learning, actively looking to grow, they'll know other people that are the same. They'll be able to introduce you to other investors that are learning and growing. It could be a great networking opportunity, okay? But if they don't actively learn, if they're not looking to push themselves forward, if they haven't done any courses recently, you know, I just asked them as a plumber, you know, when was the last course you did? What was it? And see their reaction. Do they love it? Or are they like, oh, it's a real pain, but I had to do this? Can they work personally for you? So written plans, we cover this, contracts, put everything in agreement. Is it totally transparent how they're getting paid, what profit they're making? You know, if I'm doing a big refurbishment project, $8,000 project, and one person, you know, there's all these companies that say developments on the end of their title, you know, Fred Blogs Developments. You know, if he or she is organising it all and bringing in the other contracts, I don't mind them making a margin on top if they're pulling everything together and driving down price and coordinating, pulling it all coherently together. But it needs to be transparent. I want them to show me what they're making for doing that, okay, in a positive way. They're not used to you being open like that with them. And is there a written contract? We covered it. So you need to make sure that all these questions are answered, all these rules are in place. If a contractor fails on just one of them, especially if they fail on 2, don't use them. You know, will it take time to build your team to start with? Absolutely yes. But if you build it in this way and with this thoroughness, the team will serve you long term. You won't be changing joiner or electrician or plumber or gardener every other week. You don't need to do that. So here's the list of people you need to have in place, okay? So you can pause the video and write it down. It's also in my book if you've got a copy of the book, around page 100, 104 maybe. You know, these are the people you need to have in place, and you want 3 of each, because when it's Sunday and the boiler's broken, you ring the plumber. If they're busy with their family, you need someone else you know and trust you can ring that meets all the rules. But remember, once you've found 4 or 5 of these, they'll probably know some other great ones, so ask them to recommend you on. You don't just take them into your team because they're recommended. You then put them through those 9 key questions we just covered. Okay? But anywhere you're buying a property, you want these 17 trades times 3 of each already in play. Okay? Where do you find this expert team? How do you find them? Well, you can find them in a number of ways. You can go to kind of PIN meetings, Property Investor Network, not my group, Simon Zucci's work, or other property networking meetings. Normally you get an opportunity to stand up for 15 seconds and just say what you're looking for. Use that 15 seconds either to use your property identity. You know, you want to be doing that really when you're growing the portfolio, but once that's done or you've got people to work with, then use it to build your refurbishments. I'm looking for a great introduction to accountants. That's not refurbishment team. I'm looking for a great introduction to a plumber and an electrician in Northampton. Okay, people will come and recommend them. You don't just take the recommendation, you then meet the person and put them through the questions. But the networking meetings can be great. Landlord associations, RLA, NLA, any property education meetings, just be at those meetings in the lunch breaks, in the breaks. I'm looking for a great handy person in Leicester. I'm looking for a great plumber in Manchester. Just put that stuff out there on LinkedIn. LinkedIn's brilliant. If you haven't got LinkedIn, it's like Facebook, but for businesses. You can go on there and look for plumbers in Northampton or plumbers in Manchester. Then you interview them with the questions. Okay? Different property forums can be a great way. I've mentioned property tribes there. I like property tribes, over 10,000 landlords on it, or property investors. It can be a negative site. I don't like that about it. But it, you know, as in there are people on there that are quite negative with their posts, unfortunately. Probably a few more negative than positive. But brilliant resource. If you rule the negative out, brilliant. You know, if I'm looking for, I think we once needed an electrician in Swansea, we typed it in, we got 3 or 4 responses straight away. So if you can block the negative out, it can be a great site and a great, you know, there's 10,000 plus people on there worth networking with. Okay, Pin Academy is similar with Simon Zucci's group. Or you can get someone to do it for you in a hands-free way. You know, you use Property Insight, my done for you service, and we provide all this for you, of course. And you can do it with us or another company like us, so you then don't have to put in those hard yards to find that team. Okay. Now, once you've got this team, okay, there's a traffic light system. If you've used them 6+ times and it's all great and it's going well, they're on green. When they're on green, you only need them to quote. That's it. You trust them. They've built your trust. They've built your respect. And every 4 or 5 times, you'll spot check them with another quote. Anytime up until 6 properties, they're on amber. Okay, if you've used them and you like them, but they haven't done 6, they're on amber. Okay, that means you'll still get a number of quotes. Okay, some people push to green at about 4. I would do it at 6, but you get a number of quotes. So you're getting 3 quotes when you've only used them once before. Then you're down to 2 quotes maybe after you've used them 3 times. And then we only go to 1 quote, well, their quote, when we get to green. So they're on amber. If you've never used them before, they're on red. You know, you're saying this is the person I'm going to use next. I've put them in my team. They meet all the questions, but I haven't actually used them. They're on red. And the idea is you build them up from red to orange to green. Now, once they get to green, what will happen is they're getting all the work from you. They'll feel a bit safe and comfortable. They'll start to sneak the prices up, most people, because they think, you know, I'll earn a bit more. And I don't blame them for that. That's why every 4 quotes or so, you get another quote and just tweak them back in. Keep them on their toes so they know you're keeping an eye on this. But if you've therefore got your 17 key trades, they're all color-coded, green, amber or red, then you know where you are, you know what you're looking for. Any you've got on red or anywhere you've got a gap, when you're at your next networking meeting or out, you're very, very clear on what your business needs next, your property business, whether it's 1 property, 5 or 50, on what it needs next. So use that traffic light system to manage that, okay? And remember, one will find many. Successful people hang around with successful people, okay? Take this action now. Build your refurbishment team now. If you've got properties already, you desperately need to do it. But if you haven't bought yet, do this first. Get your team in place, because you don't end up then panicking. You don't end up then ringing someone out the yellow pages. They then, A, rip you off and charge you more than you should be paying. B, give you poor service. C, that they're unhappy because of the poor service, so they then are not paying you or unhappy with the situation. You know, you need to make sure you do this properly. If you get lazy in this area, it's like doing property investing without your arms or legs. You need to be really strong in this area, really strong in the expert team creator as a whole, but around building your refurbishment team. And the exercise that you're going to finish off with this month is to make sure you get this done, that you actually build your refurbishment team so they're in place, and then you're ready to manage these properties. It's all part of the stress-free letting system. Then you're able to manage these properties successfully for the future. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Invest with knowledge, invest with confidence, create financial freedom.